Hey everyone, my name is Perry and welcome back to the cassette phase. Well, I recently did a video where we talked about great movies to watch around Halloween. Well, I'd like to do something similar today, but this time I want to talk about TV show episodes and TV specials that are just perfect for this time of year. And you could consider this like a Halloween TV guide, like a one-stop shop for your Halloween television needs. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, sometimes the Halloween episodes are some of the best episodes. Some shows that immediately come to mind where this is the case, The Simpsons, and of course, Roseanne. So I'm going to tell you the seasons, the episode numbers, and where you can watch these and many other shows. So if you're looking for some good TV to watch this Halloween season, look no further and come hang out. Okay everyone, before we head over to the rug, I want to show you all just a real quick little recent addition to the den that has made all the difference in the world, honestly. And that's this simple little Ottoman. Now this was a $5 pickup on Marketplace, and it has significantly changed the feel of the room in here. For one, I can now sit and put my feet up, which I couldn't do before. And two, it gives me a place to, display the TV guides, another place to keep the remotes. And if this isn't the exact same Ottoman that my grandfather had way back in the day, it's really close. I mean, it looks identical from what I can remember. He used to have this in front of his leather chair, and it was always covered with newspaper. And so I'll not only use it for, putting my feet up while I watch TV, but I'm also going to use it when I do show and tell with you guys, because it will allow me to sit in my chair, still take you over to the rug, but I'll slide the Ottoman over, as you'll see here in a few minutes, and I won't have to sit on the floor for long periods of time. And as you all can understand, at my age, that's actually a really good thing. So anyway, just wanted to show you that really quick. Let's get started. Okay everyone, welcome back to the rug / Ottoman, as you'll see here in a minute, with added and increased comfort all around. The first TV show that I want to talk about for Halloween episodes specifically is probably the best of them all, and that is none other than Roseanne. Now I've got this DVD set here that has, I think they had 8 total Halloween episodes. So let me go through some of these with you here. On the back, you've got the titles. But for anyone who has Peacock, which is where I believe Roseanne is streaming, let me give you the season and episode numbers. So we've got Season 2, Episode 7, which is Boo. Season 3, Episode 7, which is Trick or Treat. Season 4, Episode 6, which is called Trick Me Up, Trick Me Down. Then you've got Season 5, Episode 7, which is called Halloween 4, as confusing as that is. Then you've got Season 6, Episode 6, which is Halloween 5. Season 7, Episode 6, Skeleton in the Closet. And Season 8, Episode 5, the final chapter. And then, let's see. And then Season 9, Episode 7, which is called Satan Darling. Yeah, so I feel like that show really kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit on what you could do on network TV, especially for Halloween episodes. But nonetheless, if you're looking for a good little Halloween sitcom marathon, Roseanne is probably the best place to start. Okay, next up is another great sitcom when it comes to Halloween episodes. And this time we're venturing into the 90s again. with Home Improvement. Now, Home Improvement is streaming in its entirety on Disney Plus. So the episodes you want to look out for, and they may even have a playlist set up already, I'm not sure, but it's season 2, episode 6, which is The Haunting of Taylor House. Season 3, episode 6, Crazy for You. Season 4, episode 6, I'm seeing a pattern here, Borland Ambition. Season 5, episode 6, Let Them Eat Cake. Season 6, episode 7, I Was a Teenage Tailor. And season 7, episode 5, A Night to Dismember. I think that's it for that show. Let me double check. Oh, no. There was also one in season 8, episode 6, called Bewitched. So yeah, one of my favorite sitcoms from the early to mid 90s. I guess actually it spanned all the way to the late 90s. I can remember being in high school and watching this one, but yeah, they've got some great Halloween episodes if you want to check some out. So for this next one, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball. We're going to go back to my earliest days of childhood, some of the earliest TV that I can remember watching. And that is Punky Brewster. Now hear me out on this one, I've got an interesting story. This wasn't necessarily meant to be a Halloween episode, I don't believe. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. The Perils of Punky, Part 1 and Part 2. Now, looking at where that landed in the season's lineup, it probably did air in October, so maybe it was meant to be like their scary episode. But so I would have been 5, about to turn 6, I believe, when I watched that for the first time. And I'm gonna have to put in some images and maybe even like some video clips if I can find them, because what happened in this episode was they were all going camping. And it turns out that where they decided to go camping was on like a Native American reserve, like a burial ground, I guess. It starts out all fun and happy-go-lucky. They're playing sports, they're throwing frisbees, they're playing badminton, they're setting up camp, they're going on a hike. And I think what happens was Brandon, the dog, got loose and ran off and ended up going into a cave. And of course, so Punky and the gang of kids anyway, because the adults were back, at camp sitting in lawn chairs. But they followed Brandon into this cave, and the series of events are just like, I was reading about this a little bit before I did this video, and there were actually like a whole generation of people who were scarred by these 2 episodes. Looking back at it now, it probably wasn't the scariest thing, but as a 5-year-old, when you're seeing your best friend, transformed into a dancing, glittery skeleton, and then you encounter a section in the cave where there's like a disembodied head talking to you and arms and legs coming out of the wall, and they called him Mr. Pieces. And then the kid, what's his name? Alan, I think. The boy, like they show like his dead, disembodied face and head like in the wall, in like a little bit of a jump scare, and it's just like the sound is creepy and the face he's making is creepy. It's almost too hard to describe. So like I said, yeah, I'm gonna try to put in some images so you guys can see. If you want to go back and watch this monstrosity yourself, it's obviously, if you have the DVD sets, you can watch it there. Let's see, Punky Brewster I think is actually streaming as well on Peacock. So if you're just curious, I hope I sparked your curiosity. Go back and watch The Perils of Punky Part 1 and Part 2, and then just read the internet to see all the 80s kids who were scarred by those 2 episodes. Okay, back into the 90s we go with something a little bit more family-friendly and less jarring. There were a few episodes for Halloween on Boy Meets World. Let's see, we've got, and of course this one is streaming on Disney Plus. At the beginning of the show, we had season 2, episode 6. We said, Who's Afraid of Cory Wolf? I don't remember that one as well. Season 5, episode 5, however, that one's called The Witches of Pembroke. That one I can remember seeing because I know it had Candace Cameron in it from Full House, and it also had Melissa Joan Hart from Sabrina, both making guest appearances in that one. And then we also had season 5, episode 17, which was called And Then There Was Sean. And I don't think that was necessarily a Halloween episode, but it was kind of like playing off of a lot of the horror movies of the time. And if I remember correctly, I think Jennifer Love Hewitt is actually in that episode. So yeah, a few really good ones to watch there on Disney Plus for Boy Meets World for Halloween. And speaking of Candace Cameron, I know there's at least one episode of Full House that was like Halloween themed. There were probably more. I seem to have vague memories of the Full House cast having Halloween costumes on. But when I looked it up, it really just shows season 3, episode 8, which is called Divorce Court, as the only like really Halloween themed episode. So this one is streaming on Max, I believe, so you can go back and check that out. I know that I'm going to go back and at least watch that one to see if it fits within the Halloween vibes here. Season 3, episode 8 of Full House. All right, so let's take a look at one of my all-time favorite sitcoms. Good old Alf. The old Alfer, Gordon Shumway himself. Now, his entire series is streaming for free on Tubi. I was a little surprised that they only list one episode as being Halloween themed. There were probably some others that might fit in okay, but the one is really memorable. And it was season 2, episode 6. And it was called Some Enchanted Evening. And I'll never forget seeing that as a kid. The Tanners are having a Halloween party, and Alf wants to go. And, of course, they won't let him. They don't let him join in on anything for obvious reasons. But he literally just takes the zipper off of one of Willie's jackets and glues it to the front of him and walks into the party, just strolls on in like he owns the place with a zipper on the front of his alien body. And there's some pretty funny scenes. There's a limbo scene in that episode in particular that just cracks me up every time I see it. So yeah, highly recommend going on Tubi if you don't have the DVDs and check out season 2, episode 6 of Alf. So for this next one, I really have just vague memories of this ever happening, but apparently there was a 2-part Halloween special, season 6, episodes 7 and 8 on Growing Pains. And this was one of my favorite sitcoms as a kid. I still enjoy it to this day, honestly. Great show. But yeah, apparently season 6, there was a 2-parter, episodes 7 and 8. Maybe the most important thing that came out of my research and looking into this was Growing Pains is now streaming on some app called Plex. Is anybody familiar with Plex? Because a couple of the shows that I'm going to talk about on this list today are both streaming on there. So as soon as I'm done making this video and I'm done working later this evening, I'm going to check into that and see what other kind of great stuff I could find on Plex, whatever that is. Now for this one, let's talk about good old Saved by the Bell. You know, what 90s preteen and teenager didn't watch this show at least a little bit? I feel like it was on every single day after school and on the weekends, Saturday mornings. You could find it on probably 2 or 3 different channels, I feel like. So yeah, this show was everywhere. And this is another one where I feel like there were more Halloween themed episodes than just one. But the only one that I really found when I was looking into this was season 3, episode 26, Mystery Weekend. And that's the one where they go away and do like the murder mystery thing. Pretty memorable episode and really good for Halloween, honestly. But I feel like there were others. I seem to remember them being like at a costume party or like a masquerade dance or something like that. That was probably something completely unrelated. It wasn't Halloween themed. But yeah, if nothing else though, Saved by the Bell is on Peacock if you don't have the DVDs, although this entire DVD set is like $12. Probably because everybody's seen every single episode 150 times. But either way, I know I'm going to go back and check out the Murder Mystery Weekend, season 3, episode 26. Okay, so let's talk about our good friends Balky and Cousin Larry with their great show Perfect Strangers. Now, this is another one that apparently is streaming now on Plex. And I feel like Perfect Strangers and Growing Pains were never on any streaming services for the longest time, so I'm definitely going to be checking into that, because I only have this first and second season on DVD, and that's it. But they had 2 Halloween themed episodes. Season 4, episode 3, let's see, excuse me, called Aliens. And then they also had season 7, episode 5, called Fright Night. So if I'm able to find this show on that Plex app, those are the first 2 episodes that I'm going to be checking out for sure. All right, so let's talk about one more like sitcom or TV show. And this is obviously not an exhaustive list. There are so many shows from the 80s and 90s that had some kind of Halloween themed episode. I just wanted to touch on a few of them, give you all a few recommendations. But you can't talk about this without talking about The Simpsons and the wonderful Treehouse of Horror episodes. Now this is a VHS set that I found a few years ago on Etsy. You know, I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything. I don't know. I'm not going to really say the vendor's name or anything, but somebody went through and compiled the first, what is that, 11 Treehouse of Horror episodes and put them on this VHS tape. You know, maybe he was selling them as blanks. Like maybe I was supposed to record over this or something, but this is actually one of my like favorite items in the whole collection. Got the candy corn on the label. But yeah, just really cool. So many great memories of Treehouse of Horror, and you guys know I'm a Simpsons fan. One of the most recent additions to the room actually is this grandmother shelf that I have up here that I'm using to put my World of Springfield Simpsons collection on. But the one that I wanted to talk about today that sticks out, because I just watched it recently, there's an episode where Homer, for whatever reason, and I don't remember the entire premise, but he's going back in time over and over again to try to correct mistakes that have been made. You know, like he went back in time originally and swatted a mosquito, and then when he went back to the present, all these things were wrong. So he had to go back in time again and try to fix that. And he did that several times, and each time that he would come back, there was something about reality that he couldn't handle. You know, like one of them, like Ned Flanders was ruling the world, and he screamed and got out of there and went back and tried again. Funniest scene though, he comes back to the future or to the present and finds his family sitting in this beautiful mansion of a house. They're all dressed to the nines, fancy clothing, eating like a really amazing fancy meal. And they're like, oh, he's like, okay, I can handle this. And he starts asking them questions, you know, what about Flanders? What about this? What about the other? And everything's good. And then he says something about donuts. And they're all like, donuts? What's a donut? And he obviously screams like this blood-curdling scream and hauls butt out of there to go back and try to fix that because he can't possibly live in a world without donuts. And as he leaves the room, you look out the window and donuts are falling from the sky, like hundreds of donuts just falling from the sky. And Marge goes, oh, look, it's raining again. And that cracks me up every time. But there's just so many great Treehouse of Horror episodes. I know that Disney Plus has them, and I think they even have them like in a playlist. So if you just wanted to sit there and binge watch all of them in order, you could definitely do that. But yeah, I think Simpsons Halloween episodes may be the best of the bunch. What do you guys think? Okay, let's talk about a few Halloween specials and Halloween cartoons. Starting with an absolute classic, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. One that, as kids we watched every year on network TV. Sadly, that's no longer a thing. It's streaming, I believe, on Apple. It's the only place you can stream it. Although I do think they offer it to you for free, but I could be wrong about that. But I'm just glad to have the VHS tape. You guys may have seen it. I had it going when I did the video where I was setting the den up for Halloween and putting all the decorations out. And I've probably watched it another 2 times since then. Just something about the music and the animation. It just feels like warm, fuzzy Halloween nostalgia. We grew up with these Peanuts holiday specials. And this and the Christmas one are probably my 2 favorites. So, yeah. Does anybody else watch that one every year? Pretty much a classic. Can't go wrong. Now this next one, any episode you choose could be perfect for Halloween. But what I've got here for Beetlejuice, the animated series, I've got this DVD that just compiles like a few Halloween themed episodes, which is awesome. I don't remember where I even found this, but it's just long enough to put on and go through a few of them and get the Halloween feels going. But yeah, like I said, any episode of that show is good for this time of year. And the best news, as of recently, this is streaming for free on Tubi, so you can watch the whole series if you want to. Now, also streaming on Tubi, at least at the time of this recording, is another classic television show from our youth, and that is none other than Peewees Playhouse. Now, this VHS tape isn't the one with the Halloween episode on it. They do have like a specific Halloween episode, and it's season 1, episode 9, and it's called Monster in the Playhouse. I think it's Halloween themed, and maybe it's just loosely Halloween themed, but this was a great show. Who didn't love Peewees Playhouse as a kid? I've talked about it quite a few times on the channel, but so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but yeah, again, on Tubi, so if you want to just go, dip your toe in the water, go check out season 1, episode 9. So for this next one, I was shocked to find that The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, it's not on Disney Plus, which is weird because this is Disney animation. This is a classic, it's not a movie. I guess they consider it like a short. It's about a half hour long, but it's just like perfect viewing for autumn and Halloween with great animation. This came out in 1949, which is incredible, but yeah, I couldn't find it on Disney Plus, so I'm glad that I have the VHS tape. I do think that it may be on a compilation on YouTube. Disney used to run a special called the Halloween Treat every year, I believe. I think it was one of those like Wonderful World of Disney Sunday evening presentations, but it had like a little compilation of different segments for Halloween. Some real old stuff, from like the 30s and 20s. And then this one was on there. And I believe that that's on YouTube, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But yeah, this one is just perfect for Halloween. The animation, again, incredible. Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And for Halloween cartoons, can you really go wrong with ScoobyDoo? I mean, honestly, the whole aesthetic and vibe of ScoobyDoo, those early, animated series, it just feels like Halloween. It's just perfect. This tape here, 75 minutes of fun for Scooby-Doo and his friends, mostly ghostly. I watch this tape a lot. It gets a lot of use. Unfortunately, the Hanna-Barbera stuff can be a little bit hard to find on streaming. I know that like Flintstones and Jetsons, I believe, they come and go from like Max and Tubi and some of the others. Scooby-Doo, a little bit harder. You either have to have, I think, that Boomerang app, which I had for a long time and got rid of because I wasn't using it enough. But and then also maybe I think on Prime. But yeah, some of this, you just can't go wrong. It's just timeless. I think these cartoons were actually before our time. I think people were watching these in the 60s and 70s, and they just kind of carried on into the for the kids of the 80s. But I enjoy it, and it's a great watch every year around Halloween. Now you're probably wondering, dude, you're missing some of the classics, some of the essentials. Like, where is Garfield's Halloween special? All right, well, I'm gonna pivot for a second. I'm gonna move you over to the smart TV. I've got this playlist on YouTube, and this is under my old account, but I am going to transfer it over before I upload this video, and I'm gonna make it public. Because this is a playlist that I will play and just let it run on shuffle, that has some of the best like Halloween episodes and cartoons and specials that you can find on YouTube. So let me take you through these really quick, and then again, I'm going to make this a public playlist and put the link to it in the description if you want to check it out. It starts off with The Real Ghostbusters, When Halloween Was Forever. Great episode. Then we've got an episode of Casper, the Friendly Ghost. We've got Popeye, Fright to the Finish. Winnie the Pooh, Boo to You Too. Here's a random one. Adventures of Pete and Pete, Season 2, Episode 5, Halloweeny. You got the Fat Albert Halloween special. You got the Littles Halloween special. Love that one. You've got an episode of Small Wonder here. Season 3, Episode 8, The Lawsonville Horror. Of course, you've got an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Season 3, Episode 1, The Tale of the Midnight Ride. We've got something from Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon. Uncle Harry's Horrible House of Horrors, which is really fun. We got the Babysitters Club, Dawn and the Haunted House, if you feel like checking that out. You got Berenstain Bears, The Bad Habit and the Prize Pumpkin. We've got Inspector Gadget, Haunted Castle, which is from Season 1, Episode 8. And guys, this is miscellaneous for sure. There's some variety here. We've got Kate and Allie, Season 4, Episode 6, which is a Halloween episode. We got some Smurfs, All Hallows Eve. We've got the Punky Brewster cartoon, Halloween Howlers. And this one I think is divided into two, so you may have to find part 1 and part 2 on that one. You've got an Are You Afraid of the Dark Halloween special compilation, which is awesome. It's 2.5 hours long. It's mostly some of the stuff from the later years, the more recent episodes, but still 90s, still cheesy, and still great. You got the Facts of Life Halloween episode, if you want to watch that. More Casper. And there's Garfield's Halloween Adventure, which, just like the Peanuts, Charlie Brown, It's the Great Pumpkin. This is another one that I feel like you got to watch every year. You've got Punky Brewster Halloween Howlers. I either have part 1 and part 2 mislabeled, or maybe that's a duplicate. Going way back, we've got today's special from 1982, Season 2, Episode 4, Halloween. You've got the Disney short Trick or Treat. I'm sure you've seen it a million times, but it's always fun to watch. That's from 1956. Wow. I mixed in some Halloween special commercials from CBS 1985. Also vintage 80s Halloween commercials, 23 minutes worth right there. And then some Halloween video games, which I may or may not get to it, but I want to do a video where I talk about Nintendo games and video games that I like to play around Halloween. So you've got some Castlevania playthroughs here, or actually these are just commercials. Castlevania commercials. And then you've got a Ghosts and Goblins NES playthrough, which isn't too bad, half an hour long, fun to have going in the background. And then you got a Super Ghouls and Ghosts Super Nintendo commercial. And then you've got that special that I was talking about, Disney Halloween Treat, which is like a compilation of a lot of the Disney Halloween related shorts, which I believe includes The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So there you have it. More than you could ever ask for Halloween nostalgia. And there we are. So I hope you all found this list to be helpful. If you end up going and watching any of these, do me a favor and drop me a comment, letting me know which ones you watched, and tell me what you thought. We're winding down on our Halloween content for 2024, but we do still have a couple more videos left to go. If you don't want to miss those, consider subscribing. But for now, and as always, relax, enjoy life, and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.